Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 15 of our F125 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend for the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from the Hungarian Grand Prix, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. We have made it to Formula 1 summer break. As there isn't another race for a while, we will be closing down the Team HQ until the next weekend. I don't know if we can try and get a couple more bits on the car before we head into that break. As you can see, we are just desperately trying to get as many things done as we possibly can at the moment, spending all of the R&D that we have available to us. And at the moment, there definitely seems to be a bit of a balancing issue. You definitely earn far more R&D that you can really do anything with inside F125 because ultimately you're normally waiting for developments to be completed as well. As you can see, we have got a lot of stuff waiting in the works as well. You know, I am frantically behind the scenes trying to get this car upgraded as best as we can. If we take a quick look at the overall performance rating, though, I believe we have jumped Sauber this season, which I'm pretty happy with. If I have a quick look, there we are. So as you can see, we have now jumped Kick Sauber, so we are no longer the slowest team on the grid. We're a little way still behind the rest of your midfielders, and as you can see, McLaren have just completely fallen apart. Mercedes now apparently have the best car on the grid as well. So yeah, really big development race going on further up the order as well there. Have we got any more parts that we can assign at the moment? No, we don't. Let's take a look at the World Championship then, of course, as we head into the second half of the year. You can see Callum Voisin, we are still P10 at the moment, 6 points back from Esteban Ocon, tied now with Fernando Alonso for P10 after he scored some decent points last weekend. 4 points the buffer to Haas as well in the Constructors. Aston Martin just another point behind as well in that fight. So yeah, it's going to be intense during the second half of the season. Get yourself subscribed. We're trying to hit 150k. Also, if you want to get access to all of these videos early, you can click the join button down in the description as well. And yeah, it costs just £1 a month. Like I said, you get early access to all the videos. But without further ado, let's return here to Zandvoort.
Just look at that sea of orange. No surprises if I tell you we're here in Holland at Zandvoort for the Max Verstappen celebration party. It's a quick track and perfect for high speeds, high stakes qualifying. Welcome along to the Dutch Grand Prix qualifying day.
Well, the gap between us and elimination then at the moment is about 0.2 of a second here as we head out for our last hit run. Of course, we've seen so many times this season how much the track can ramp up, how much the AI can ramp up into a final qualifying run, but I know there was definitely time to find on our first lap as well. Most cars inside your top 10 feel that they are safely through. There was a Williams though also in the pit lane, so they're playing a very risky game here late on in the session. It's also a very difficult track to try and charge up the battery pack. Not that many big braking zones here at Zandvoort. I still wish they'd cambered that corner a lot better than they have done, because you just cannot use the high line like they tend to IRL, apart from lap 1, if you're trying to make some overtakes there, but completely flat through the top of the circuit there. That was actually surprisingly easy with this car, so we might be running a little bit too much downforce actually here. That might compromise us on straight line speed around the rest of the lap, but Gabriel Bortoletto improving. He will drop us down to P14 then at the moment. But I think we are safely through then and into Q2 here. Just want to try and see if we can find a little bit more time anyway. So important that you keep the car tidy through the stadium section, but one more corner to go then. Only down the one gear as you chuck it through. Be very careful over that exit curb. And on the run back towards the line, we are going to find a couple of extra tenths then. So we're going to be aiming for about a 1:10.5. We go P12. And there we go then. Max Verstappen, I expect him to dominate this weekend as he has done so many times before around this circuit. But myself and Gabriel Bortoletto making it through into Q2. Lance Stroll there, he'll be disappointed down in P20. Not sure what happened to Helga, just seemed to be quite competitive and then lost all pace on that final run. But we were only a couple of spots behind a Ferrari. Well, if we want to see Q3, we're going to need to somehow go sub 70 seconds here, which I think is much easier said than done. As we head out for our second qualifying run, I cannot see myself finding nearly an entire second here in Q2. I'm hoping, though, that we don't end up P16. Always the case if we just make it through into Q2. That I'm basically just hoping that we just don't end up last.
Down to P16.
Let's try and get another tidy lap on the board, though. I really do need to concentrate on this one. So I just nudged that curb, and the understeer through the front end is horrible. Still, of course, like we've seen on previous games, the curbs here as well, completely unforgiving. So you have got to be very, very careful with those. See what the gap is then to Gabriel Bortoletto by the time we get into Sector 3. We are marginally up, actually, on the Brazilian there as a nice tidy line through the stadium. Really just, putting it all on the line here, trying to get a good result. Obviously, we know how difficult it can be to overtake around this venue. Making this place in Hungary back-to-back feels very, very harsh inside F125. But on the run towards the line then, a 10-4, we go P15. The AI are just rapid in Sector 3. Well, there we are then. Verstappen dipping into the 1:08 there by the end of Q2. But a Herculean effort by Gabriel Bortoletto didn't end up too far away from seeing himself into Q3. We will end up quicker than Esteban Ocon. We definitely could have gone quicker than Carlos Sainz as well there. But I'm pretty happy with that. Let's get into the race.
Welcome along then to the North Sea coast and to the Zandvoort circuit. We're 25 miles away from Amsterdam for today's Dutch Grand Prix. It's a race the great Jim Clark won on 4 occasions, leading for an astonishing total of 370 laps. A lap of this short 2.6 mile Zandvoort circuit features 14 corners, 10 to the right and 4 to the left, with a 678 metre main straight heading into turn 1, Tarzan Corner. And on that straight with DRS open, that'll be the best overtaking opportunity on this track. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Norris, Hamilton, George Russell and Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso, Piastri, Antonelli and Pierre Gasly, Albon, Bortoletto, Jack Doohan and Sainz, Voisin, Ocon, Ollie Behrman and Nico Hülkenberg, Hadjar, Stroll, Lawson and Dennis Hauger rounds off the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
Well, here we are then down on the grid, ready for these Dutch Grand Prix here at Zandvoort, of course. Hungary last weekend was absolutely brutal on tyres, and I expect this place to be fairly similar. Hence why I've opted for a set of set of hard tyres early on, and then we'll go back to mediums later on in the Grand Prix. I want to take the hard tyres as far as we can, and then hopefully we're going to be quick towards the end. It worked for a lot of teams last weekend. I'm expecting the same thing to be the case here. It might mean, though, that we're suffering early on. Lining up, though, in P15, I really hope we can try and get a couple of points on the board today. Max Verstappen, though, on the pole. The 5 red lights are on. And it's going to be lights out. And away we go then. Albon not getting off to a particularly great start there. Sainz doing, though. Trying to have a look in towards turn 1. As all, we will get a big move down the inside of Carlos Sainz there through the first corner. A little bit of Constantine running up on the exit, so we've got to be very, very careful as we make our way through turn 2 and in towards turn 3 there. Almost 3 wide. As all, Bortoletto thought there might have been contact there. He was just drifting his car off of the corners. Now we'll go 3 wide as we make our way up the hill. Somehow down the middle we will go, and up a couple of places then off the start of the GP there. Certainly not flat in race trim up through the top of the circuit that time round. But we've done pretty well then off the start there, as we'll try and have a look down the inside of Jack Doohan as well. Get the elbows out nice and early. As I almost put my microphone in my own mouth there. That would not be ideal. But just like then at Hungary last weekend, we made up good progress off the start. Like I mentioned in qualifying, though, this place can be absolutely brutal for managing the ERS as well. So I'm going to try and keep as much charge as I can. But yeah, it looks like Oscar Piastri really struggling as well, just up in front. Maybe picked up a little bit of damage on that one. Our big worry though is Fernando Alonso. He's starting to score some points quite reliably. And that doesn't help us in the drivers or the constructors.
DRS now available.
Doing it. Wanted to try and have a look down the inside at turn 1, and I will make it very clear that that is not going to happen. There's got to be something wrong with Oscar Piastri's McLaren early on in this race. I know their pace as a team this year has kind of collapsed, but yeah, he's completely dropped off those cars in front. And now look at that, Pierre Gasly going past him. We're going to send a big dive to the inside of Alex Albon there down at turn 1. Again, we might have built up a reputation as kind of a hard, aggressive racer, but it does mean people jump out of the way, which I guess is a good thing. We're trying to get a run then on Oscar Piastri. We've got yellows. Oh, is that Oscar breaking down, or is it someone else then? Oh, there's a safety car. What on earth has happened?
Keep an eye on the delta. We need to keep it positive to avoid a penalty. Slow down, maintain positive delta.
I got an illegal overtake on Oscar Piastri, but what on earth has happened there? Well, I guess we really cannot complain about that incident then earlier on. Pierre Gasly, Oscar Piastri, myself and Albon all gaining quite a few places because of it here. And suddenly we are comfortably up in the points. And of course we're still on our hard tyres, which we should be able to extend quite a bit further as we wait on Max Verstappen then as he gets ready to go green flag racing here. There we go, we'll try and see if we can get the jump on Oscar Piastri. We've done very, very well off the initial launch, but we just can't go anywhere with it. Get all the way alongside him there, and we will get to the inside, ready for turn 1. Everybody got to try and get their tyres up to temperature again. We might well be the highest placed hard compound runner early on. So just see there, Gasly and Leclerc throwing those cars through turn 3 and 4. But we've just overtaken a McLaren, and I felt like that was quite easy. Here comes Yuki Tsunoda then. To the inside he'll go. We're actually struggling to manage tyre temperature at the moment. They're actually too cold, weirdly, around this circuit, which was something I was not expecting to say in this Grand Prix. But yeah, Tsunoda couldn't make the move happen. I'm not going to try and defend from him too much at the moment. It's not really, you know, we're not in the same battle as Yuki right now, as you see Gasly as well, continuing just to pull that gap further and further away. Doohan's picked up a 10-second penalty. I can only assume, oh, that was for overtaking under yellows.
Try to keep focus.
But yeah, let's just see if we can keep up with Tsunoda. I'm hoping the medium tyres are going to start to fall off. We've got yellows. We've got yellows again. Second incident of the Grand Prix. I think this one, though, is just a Mercedes breaking down. Don't know whether that's Russell or Antonelli then that is going to be out of our Grand Prix. I'm going to hazard a guess and say it's going to be Kimi Antonelli here. Of course, has had some bad luck IRL. Yep, Antonelli, our first retirement of the day, and another weekend to forget for the Mercedes man. Well, there we go. There we go. Starting to see some cars then into the pits by the end of lap 16. So Gasly in, Norris in, Verstappen, and I believe Charles Leclerc. So Lewis Hamilton then going to take the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix for the time being. We are up into the podium places though. I would love to finish here. A red flag now, or maybe in a lap or two, would be fantastic news. Oh, there we go. Hamilton and Yuki into the pit lane then. So we are going to be into P1. I believe this is the third or fourth Grand Prix we've led so far this season. Of course, we led with Hauger back in Belgium. Of course, we won Monaco. And I feel like we have done on count back once or twice as well at various points throughout the season. But yeah, Verstappen only 3 seconds behind me. He's got a pit stop over Oscar Piastri in this GP. I mean, the Dutchman's going to win this unless something crazy happens. Oh, Verstappen trying to look down the inside through the hairpin. That's a little bit sketchy. Didn't actually mind if he was going to get a run on me down this DRS straight, because of course that would leave us with the DRS in towards the start-finish line, but annoyingly he's not going to commit to that one then, so we're definitely holding up a little bit. This is a battle for position though, you know, I don't need to jump out of his way or anything like that there, as Oscar Piastri starting to take bags of time out of the pair of us. Just going to try and take the line of least resistance back into turn 1, and there will go the Dutchman.
Okay, this is Mark. There's a group of slower cars coming up ahead of you.
Is there? Where's Mark looking? It's like half a lap away. Is he talking about Verstappen? I've got no idea.
2 seconds a lap to the car behind. 2 seconds.
Anyway, I think we're going to dive in the end of next lap to put on the mediums to get us to the flag. Oh, Mark, that yelling on the radio at me, reminding us that we need to box the end of this lap, as you can already see. Just how quickly Verstappen has broken away from us, but definitely, hopefully, going to be in the fight for the points towards the end of the afternoon as we round our way through the banking. The pit lane here, of course, we know is horribly, horribly tight. Oh, and you've got to make sure you get it slowed down to 37 miles an hour as well. I'm hoping we're going to come out ahead of the Aston Martin. I assume it's Fernando Alonso that is running towards the tail end of the top 10. Yes, it is. So if we could come out in P7, that would be fantastic.
Okay, go, go, go. Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
Well, honestly, I think we should be pretty happy if we can just hang on here until the end of the afternoon, running up in P7. Mercedes have had an absolute disaster this weekend, but could we take 8 seconds out of Gasly by the end? I want to at least try, surely. Gasly and Yuki, obviously the 2 former teammates, but yeah, how is their pace going to be like towards the end of the afternoon as a fresh set of soft tyres feel fantastic? Well, that's not good. Still more than 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and the tyre warning light has just flashed up. We've been keeping the gap fairly stable to Alonso behind us, but clearly we have been shredding the tyres in the process. I didn't even realise we were doing that badly on this set, but Gasly as well is now actually overtaken Yuki Tsunoda in this Grand Prix, so Alpine have legitimately been very, very fast here today. I know they bagged a podium, I think it was back in 2022 here, but I guess on a circuit where power doesn't matter as much, that car is flying along. Well, as we make our way then into the final lap of the Dutch Grand Prix, of course, like I said, if this is the last Dutch Grand Prix, then we all know Max Verstappen would have given it everything he possibly could to try and dominate the race today, and that is exactly what he has done, miles ahead of Lando Norris in P2.
Okay,
Ferrari haven't been able to throw up much of a challenge either. But ultimately, yeah, we made all of our progress at the start of this one. After that, it's been a fairly quiet Grand Prix of just managing the tyres and managing the pace towards the end of the afternoon. Fernando Alonso looks like he's going to follow us home in P8, so hopefully we're going to extend our gap over Aston Martin again. And Esteban Ocon in 9th there. It looks like Stroll has just claimed P10 from Ollie Behrman, so he hasn't been able to hang on towards the end of the afternoon. But out of the final corner, Max Verstappen is going to claim yet another victory, his first, I believe, since the Red Bull Ring. So his home race and the team's home race have been won this season. Lando Norris will follow him home in P2. Ferrari, they spent far too much time battling themselves today in 3rd and P4 and let all of their title rivals pull away. Pierre Gasly, though, without a shadow of a doubt, my driver of the day, he will come through for P5. Tsunoda in 6th there, but from 15th on the grid, I really cannot complain with a P7 finish. I honestly was not expecting to score today, but after that little incident early on, we were able to capitalise.
And in the end, there was no Verstappen. Max Verstappen, he takes victory.
And I just absolutely love the scenes of that in lap today. You could see how much this meant to the crowd, and you know that for the driver that's going to mean so much. You look up to the crowd and you know that the majority of them there are there for you today. So it was a great day to make it count.
Well, I don't know about you, but I've absolutely loved watching that action today, and I'm sure these 3 have loved taking part. Here come our podium finishers. One of the all-time greats celebrates yet again. It's another podium, it's another top step for Max Verstappen.
Well, there we are then. Max Verstappen, pole position, fastest lap, race victory, a dominant drive, similar to what we saw from Hamilton last weekend, to be completely honest there. Lando Norris comes through for P2 ahead of LH44. Charles Leclerc, Pierre Gasly, Tsunoda ourselves with Alonso, Ocon and Stroll rounding out your top 10 there. Behrman, how many times have I seen him narrowly miss out on points this year? It is such a shame for our fellow Brit. Russell and Piastri both will question what on earth went wrong this weekend down in P12 and P13. Bortoletto and Antonelli, two of our rookies, failed to see the checkered flag, and then two of our other rookies in Hauger and Hajar both failing to stay on the lead lap as well. A disappointing day for many. Not for us though. I'm very happy with that result. It now means Lando Norris has a 26-point buffer again over Charles Leclerc at the top of the table. Verstappen rejumps Lewis Hamilton for P3 overall as well, but we have definitely got a 4-car fight for the World Championship this year. Oscar Piastri in a very distant 5th ahead of Tsunoda and George Russell. We are back just 2 points behind Ocon, 2 points ahead of Alonso, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli could be under some pressure very quickly as well late on in the campaign. I believe though with that result we've only got 2 drivers left to score this season. Those of course being Isaac Hajar and Gabriel Bortoletto as well. Constructors wise, Ferrari 42 clear of McLaren, who have a further 44-point buffer ahead of Red Bull. We are still hanging on to P5 for dear life in the Constructors at the moment, ahead of Aston Martin and Haas as well. But of course if Alpine can pick up some solid points regularly, they could still be a threat by the end of the year. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon at the Temple of Speed for the Italian Grand Prix.